Welcome to our Bible series. Episode 2, Cain, Abel, and Seth. What could lead a man to raise his hand against his own brother? The first act of human violence did not begin within the heat of a moment. It began within a broken heart. This is the story of the first brothers and the quiet path that led from jealousy to loss. Beyond the garden, life continued. The world outside Eden was harsher, yet it was still alive with promise. In time, Eve bore a son, the first child ever born to human parents. She named him Cain. Later, she bore another and named him Abel. Two brothers, born into a world their parents had once known differently. The brothers grew together beneath the same sky, in a world still young. Their days were filled with light, with movement, with the quiet wonder of childhood. Cain was drawn to the earth, to soil that crumbled in his hands, to seeds pressed into the ground, to the patient work of growing things. Abel moved among the animals, gentle in their presence, learning their rhythms, calling them by sound and gesture. Different paths began to form, yet the days they shared were warm and untroubled. The world they grew into was not without memory. Adam and Eve carried with them the knowledge of the one who had formed them, walked with them, and spoken to them. And so the brothers grew in a world where God was not unknown, where his presence was remembered, spoken of, and quietly sought. As the brothers grew, the paths that had begun in childhood became their work. Cain worked the soil and gathered what it returned. Abel kept the flocks and watched over living things. In quiet moments, the brothers listened as their parents spoke of another place, a garden once home, where God walked among them and life unfolded without fear. They spoke of shade and abundance, of nearness, of a world more gentle than the one now known. The brothers grew in the shadow of that memory, familiar with a home they had never seen. And perhaps, within that remembered nearness, the desire to draw close to God endured. From the work of their hands, each brought an offering before the Lord. Cain presented what he had gathered from the soil he worked. Abel brought the richest portion from the firstborn of his flock. Both stood before the Lord with what their lives had produced. And the Lord regarded Abel and his offering. But Cain and his offering were not accepted. Cain saw what had happened, and his face fell. Something shifted within him, quiet at first, yet difficult to ignore. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Cain, why are you angry? Why has this shaken you so deeply? If you respond in the right way, this moment will not define you. But if you let anger take hold, something dangerous is already very near." The words spoken to Cain did not vanish. They remained with him in the quiet spaces of his days. The work of the soil continued, yet his thoughts returned again and again to the moment of offering. At first there was confusion, a question without answer. But the memory lingered, and what lingered began to fester. The offering had been turned away, yet within Cain the feeling grew that it was he himself who had been set aside. What might have passed settled instead into him, taking root in silence. One day, Cain invited Abel to walk with him into the field. There, far from the sounds of home, the struggle within Cain reached its breaking point. Cain rose against his brother Abel and killed him. And when it was done, the field fell quiet. The anger that had driven Cain no longer moved within him as before. In its place remained the weight of what could not be undone. The ground beneath him held the stillness of his brother, and Cain stood alone with the moment. It was then that the Lord spoke to him. "Where is your brother Abel?" Cain answered, "I do not know. Am I meant to watch over him?" But the Lord said, "What have you done? Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." The earth that had received Cain's labor now held the life of his brother, and it would not remain silent. Then the Lord said to Cain, "The ground you once worked will no longer grow your crops as before. You will move from place to place, never fully at rest." Cain heard these words and felt the weight of them. "My future feels too heavy to bear," he said fearfully. "I must leave the place I have known and walk into a life without shelter, away from home. I will be alone and unprotected. I'll be surely harmed." But the Lord answered him, "You will not be abandoned." And the Lord placed a mark upon Cain, a sign that his life was not to be taken. Then Cain went out from the place he had known and settled east of Eden. Abel was gone, and the absence he left behind was felt within the first family. In time, Eve bore another son. She named him Seth, a life granted in place of the one lost. Through Seth, the family continued, and a new generation began to grow. And through Seth, generations began to unfold across the earth, and people once more began to seek God, speaking his name and remembering his presence. But as humanity grew and spread across the earth, a question lingered. What would become of the world that they were really building?
If this story moved something in you, stay with us. Episode 3 is coming up next. And remember, you are always welcome here.